YouTube. It's been a while since I put out a video and I really wanted to share my garden with you. It's my favorite hobby and I haven't done any video in a while, but I wanted to share my garden video and give you an idea of the things I'm growing, and hopefully you can get some ideas of things that you can grow in a simple small garden like mine. I've been very busy because I'm actually getting ready for a move, and so I'm just trying to get my stuff together, but hoping you will enjoy this video. And I'm going to start with my fruit trees in my yard first. This is a fig tree. It is right up against my house and it's about, I want to say 3 years old. It actually had a mountain of figs last year, and I'm hoping for a whole bunch this year, but I might not be here when this thing actually produces them and is ready to actually be eaten. So I'm a little sad about that, but it is what it is. So this is a pretty nice size fig tree. This is my peach tree. As you can see, is covered in peaches. It is actually so covered that the branches are hanging down, and I know I should do something about it, but honestly I haven't been able to figure out what I would do. I'm not real hopeful about these, to be quite honest, because last year they got some disease where they started getting like a spot shortly before they were ripe. They got a spot on them, like a little spot, and then they eventually, the whole fruit rotted. So as beautiful as they look, I'm not very hopeful. I did try spraying them, but I don't know if my sprayer works really well, and I did spray them the year before and they didn't get the same disease because they were getting like a curly leaf disease, and that went away, and then it was replaced by this brown rot. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with this tree, but I am definitely waiting to find out. This is my Asian pear tree. It's the tree I love the most in my garden because I love Asian pears. It's actually been fighting some diseases this year where you can see random leaves that are turning brown. So I'm not sure what's going on with this, but it does also have a disease. The first year it didn't produce anything. The second year I pulled off the 2 pieces of fruit that it produced. Last year it produced, or this third year I guess, it produced like 10 or 12 Asian pears, which was nice. But then last year it had a lot more, and they started getting a disease, and it was like I've heard it called like a rust disease, where the fruit was deformed and had little spikes coming out of it. So I'm not sure if it's gonna be okay. I did manage to get some fruit. So you can see there is some fruit on it. I don't know if I can find any diseased fruit, but I've been trying to pull it off. I think this one up here is kind of, well, let's see. One of these is kind of diseased. I don't know, it's hard to tell, but there is a hair up there that's like all shriveled up and has little spikes coming out of it. Oh, here's a better one. Here's a better one, if you can see that one. It's hard to show it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got little orangey spikes coming out of it, and it's all rotting. And I do try to get up here and remove them, but I am a short person, so it's kind of hard. All of them didn't rot, but there is quite a bit of them. So at this point, I don't know what's going on with this tree, but between the leaves turning brown and some of them getting diseased, I'm not real hopeful, but I'm kind of getting really, what's the word, disappointed, and I don't know, I can't think of the word, basically disheartened that I'm not going to get much fruit, and I'm really beginning to not like growing fruit trees, but we'll see. I do a lot of canning, so I was really hoping to can some of this fruit, especially since I'm moving and it's quite a big an expense. So I figured if I can save a little bit of money by, having fruit from my garden saved up, that would be really good. So this really sad bed here is my potatoes. It actually was looking amazing. When I first started, I was telling my neighbors that my potatoes belong in a magazine because they were just like the perfect looking potato plants, but something has clearly been attacking them. I'm actually planning on digging a lot of these out. Some of them are still hanging in there, but these ones over here are definitely seen better days. It's not helping that we are basically in the middle of a drought, so we're not getting hardly any rain, and I'm out here watering this all the time. So we'll see what happens, but I am planning on digging some of this stuff. I wanted to not dig it too soon because I wanted to really transport these, and I don't have a cool place to store them where they won't sprout. So, but anyway, I'll show you the end of this bed, which is actually peas. I'm growing purple peas. I just love these purple peas, not because I think their taste is different, but it's just one, it's a cute idea to, you know, have a pea that's a different color. And then two, I like it because it's really easy to spot. A lot of times with a pea that's green, it's really hard to figure out. Let me show you what this looks like. It's really hard to even find it, and sometimes you end up not finding the vegetable. So let me just show you this. This could use probably a little bit more time. Some of them I'm opening up, but this is my purple peas. I actually don't know what their name is, what variety is. I'd have to look it up, but they are very delicious. I told my son this when I first started growing them, that they taste like candy, and they really do taste like candy. It's nothing like the peas you get in the frozen section or in a can, because I don't like any of those, but these I eat like they're candy. So definitely should try growing these. And this is a small bed right next to my potato bed, and this is mostly lettuce, and there are also some peas growing there. Same thing, purple peas I need to harvest. And then I did have some spinach. It's hard to tell now, but most of it, because of the heat, has gone to seed. This lettuce is going to seed. And then this is actually celery, which I planted, but it's not doing well right now. I know in the fall it will pick up, because that's what happened last year. It basically just kind of stayed alive for the spring, and then in the fall it really started doing well. So this is my next bed. Now this is some watermelon plants on the right hand side here, and then I do have a random onion growing, and this is a vegetable from back home in Pakistan. This is called tinda, T-I-N-D-E-A, and then this is called a karela. I actually had a whole bunch of these karela plants, but unfortunately they died because of the drought. It's not getting enough rain, and I am watering it. The other thing that's happening is I am getting like boatloads of volunteer tomato plants, like tons of them. I'm guessing most of them are cherry tomatoes, because that's usually kind of what comes up. But I am kind of transplanting them in all my beds, hoping a cherry tomato is better than no tomato. This I want to show you is my cilantro that has gone to seed because it is now too hot. So I do harvest the cilantro leaves for cooking and all, but when it goes to seed like this, I let it go to seed because I wait until the seeds have formed, which, if you're not familiar, cilantro seeds are actually coriander. So I wait till they, you know, basically become brown and dry on the plant, and then I use them. I use the seed and basically grind it into coriander. I absolutely love cilantro, so I let a lot of it grow, and I actually have a whole bunch of it. So sometimes I don't need to buy coriander because I get enough from my own plants that I don't need to buy it. My goal every year is I try to grow a year's worth of something. I mean, everything is not possible, but anything and everything that I can grow, I would like to do. And so this is one of the ones that I try to grow, and a year's worth of coriander. And so here is another bed. It's the same bed that the vegetables over there were in, where the onion and everything is. It's the same bed. In here is also more volunteer tomatoes. I've basically just been finding them in other beds and bringing them to where there's space. And I have never successfully grown cabbage, but this year I'm trying to. I really like the idea of making sauerkraut. I don't know if I'm going to end up with any cabbage, but I'm going to give it a shot. You're never going to have it unless you try. So that's one bed. Here is another bed. This is a oh my gosh, a tomatillo plant. I couldn't think of the name. I've never grown tomatillos, and it's actually a purple tomatillo plant. So I'm really hopeful. I know that they, or at least I've read, that they require 2. So I do have another one. So I'm hoping it will produce. And then, it's hard to see, but there's a tiny little plant here off to the side. This is a cucamelon. Well, it's not doing too well, but I planted some cucamelon. This plant here, I forgot. It's terrible. I put things in the ground and then I forget about them. It's a squash, but I can't remember right now what squash it is. Here's another cucamelon and another cucamelon. And this was my asparagus, which is now all bushy, and I mean, I read that this, you just have to let this be, and this is how it's feeding itself for next year. So for the first time, I had a reasonable amount of asparagus. I have never grown this much asparagus, but this has been in here for about 5 years. And this is another tomatillo plant, the purple tomatillo. Also in this bed, along with another random cilantro plant, are some eggplants. I've actually always struggled with growing eggplants because they get those, I think they're, I forgot what kind of beetles they are. They get these beetles that jump, and I can already see one on a plant over there. But I've had luck in the past covering them, loosely covering them with a plastic bag until they get older, and it seems to have worked. So that's my plan this year. And these plants were looking really sorry, but now they're beginning to grow some. I have started putting fish fertilizer on them because I have a giant gallon bottle over there of fish fertilizer. And this is more volunteer tomato plants over here. And this is a wasabi radish. My neighbor gave me a couple seeds, and I didn't really want it for the radish. I'm trying to actually get the seeds so that I can grow it. And radishes tend to produce a lot of seeds. If you see over here, these pods, this is another radish plant, but this is the daikon radish. I've only left that plant there so that I can collect the seeds from that pod. When these pods dry, you can take those seeds and save them for next year. So that's what I'm hoping for this wasabi radish. This is another squash. I'm very famous at putting seeds in there and forgetting about them. I think this is a cushaw squash, but I cannot remember. And this is an artichoke plant, which I don't hold a whole lot of hope for because I planted one last year and have not received, never gotten an artichoke. Now, this bed is my mainly tomato bed. And I'll just kind of show you the tomatoes on here. At the ends, I do have another squash that I also don't remember the name of, but we'll figure it out soon because it is starting to grow and it should hopefully start producing something. This, I don't remember the name. I can look it up and put it on the screen for you, but I don't know if you can see the tiny little tomatoes in there, and they're supposed to be orange, like the orange currants, kind of like that. That's what they're supposed to be, and I believe that's what's happening here. I started a bunch of, that's what's happening on this one. It's kind of out of focus there. So I started a whole bunch of plants, but as always, I lose their names as I'm transplanting them. And there's another tomato plant. This one, I know its name because I recognize its leaves. It's called a triple L. I also got these seeds from M.I. Gardner. Basically, all these plants are M.I. Gardner. Some of the ones in the middle are volunteers that I moved here. But this is probably like my healthiest tomato plant. I don't know what this plant is, but it is just really super healthy. And its stem is really, really thick. So I have supports on all of these. I don't know what this one is either. Like I said, I'm waiting for them to actually start producing, but that's these. These are all ones that I started from seed. Now this, however, are ones that I bought at the store, and this is my favorite cherry tomato, which I'll show you the name. It's called a sun gold cherry. and I left them on here. I really wanted to eat this one, but I wanted you to see its beautiful orange color before I pick it. And this is absolutely my favorite cherry tomato. So I have to remember to save some seeds from it. I'm not sure if this is one that will come true from the seeds, because I know some things are hybrid and they won't grow the same fruit, but we'll give it a shot. And then these two are ones that I also bought. My neighbor bought these last year and she had such good luck with the tomatoes, I figured I'd give it a shot. So this is called a mortgage lifter. Let me show you the plant. You see that it's forming tomatoes. It's got a couple tomatoes on here already. And then the one next to it also has some tomatoes. So it's definitely starting to produce, and they are becoming pretty healthy. And then this last one is another mystery tomato that I will find out soon. And I guess as I continue to do these videos, I'll be able to tell you what kind I'm growing. But for now, I only know that one over there is like the current one. The current, I don't even know how to say it. Whatever kind it is, you get what I'm saying. This little area over here are plants that I am growing to move with me to Texas, because that's where I'm planning on moving. So I started a rhubarb plant, which I've heard doesn't do well in Texas, but I'm gonna give it a shot. This one is called lemon thyme, and this plant next to it is a chamomile. I'm trying to grow that. These things produce like crazy. The last one over here is mint. Then this is my oregano. Last one to the right is actually a flower called sundrops, but it's not doing too well. This is a rosemary plant that I bought from the nursery. This is a red chrysanthemum plant. Another thyme plant, and these are actually some beans I need to get in the ground. Oh, and this is chives. So that's kind of what's happening here. These are ones that I would like to take with me to Texas. This next bed is my sweet potatoes. These are all, I don't know if they're Chinese, Japanese, I'm not sure what they are, but I've only picked them up at the Asian store. They are red on the outside, like a reddish color, and inside it's white. And my mom told me this is how the sweet potatoes are back home. So I really like growing them, and my son actually likes these better than the regular ones. So I'm not sure. They haven't been doing too well, but like I said, we are in the middle of a drought. So this is my giant mess of cilantro plants that have gone to seed, and in there is some lettuce. Let me move this stuff out of the way here. There's some lettuce and a couple squash plants and some more volunteer tomato plants. This next section is potato plants. These are called Huckleberry Gold. The first ones I showed you were a variety of potatoes that I bought actually just at an organic market. So they were red, yellow, and then I think russet. But these are called Huckleberry Gold, which are purple on the outside, white on the inside. I'm not a fan of eating purple potatoes. It just doesn't look appetizing. It's really cute to grow it, but not so appetizing to eat it. This is my strawberry bed. This is my everbearing. I know it needs to be cleaned out really badly, but I've just been very busy, like I said, with me trying to get ready for move. And then this is my June bearing ones, and they have just done really well. This is a small one that you can see. Most of them are finished now, but they had a huge bumper crop of them. For me, it was a bumper crop because I usually got like one or two. This is my next bed, which is filled with onions. I am a little obsessed with growing onions, but I don't know if I'm doing a very good job because some of mine are leaning over like this. I don't know if y'all can give me some advice why that's happening. Some of them are standing up straight. Some of them are leaning over. I don't know if it's a planting error or what. And then some of them don't do anything. They just look all deformed. So I'm still hopeful that I will get some onions from this bed, and I do have volunteer tomato plants in there, and these are where I've been removing them from and moving them to other places. So this is basically my onion bed. The whole entire bed is filled with 3 onions, Globo. One's called Red Geneva, and I can't remember the other one. I think it's called Southport. It's a white one. So I'm hopeful. I'm gonna leave them alone and hopefully they produce some onions. And this is my last bed. So this is a tomato plant that I actually did purchase, and it's called Juliet. That's the type of plant. It's called Juliet. You can see they're producing. They're kind of like grape tomatoes. I feel like they're like a cross between a grape and a Roma. So that's that tomato plant. These ones I know, and these are the yellow crookneck squash. I'm actually hoping to train them up one of these rods because I really don't have that space for them to crawl around. So I'm hoping to get them to climb up the stick, but we'll see. And then these are more volunteer tomato plants, which God only knows what they are. But I'm gonna guess, like I said, they're cherry. This is my basil. I am really also putting a huge emphasis this year of taking my basil or picking really all my herbs and drying them and keeping them so that I will have them. This is a ground cherry plant that I'm hoping will get up and start producing ground cherries. More tomato plants. This is a shishito pepper that I bought. I've never actually really eaten a shishito pepper, but figured to give it a try. This is a jalapeno pepper. I bought these. This actually, the shishito I bought, the jalapeno I bought, and then there's a bell pepper plant over there. As you can see, that little bell pepper. This one is a bell pepper plant that I grew. And then there's more, like I said, volunteer tomato plants. These 2 plants at the end are acorn squash. My favorite squash is acorn squash. I have one here. I can show you. And like I said, more tomato plants. This plant I'm growing for the first time. Unfortunately, it was attacked by, I don't know what, these little yellow striped bugs. And it seems to be doing better now, but this is called a Georgia, what's it called? It's called a Georgia candy rooster. I've never grown it, but it had really good reviews, and I'm really hoping for some, I really am aiming for getting winter squash. Like I said, I want food that I can take with me, move with me, that will help me out when I'm settling in a new area. So that is pretty much it. That is the last bed in my garden. So it's a mix of a lot of different things. I hope you enjoyed getting to see what I'm growing. It's not any like Pinterest worthy garden, but it does produce a lot of vegetables for me, and I do enjoy coming in here. It is a good amount. I've actually built all these beds myself. Every single bed in here was built by me. From a video I watched from Lowe's website, and I started all of these beds. I had them all filled from like the county landfill. They would deliver topsoil or compost for you, so I had them fill them. And I've been using these same beds for quite a while. I'm actually going to be really sad not to have my garden when I move, but I have signed up, or at least put myself on a waiting list for a community garden in Texas. And it's going to be completely new for me to learn to garden in Texas in the heat and when I can plant different things, but I'm excited to try. And I'm looking forward to trying something different. So I hope you enjoyed seeing what I'm growing in my garden, and hopefully it will give you some ideas of things you can grow. If you've got any suggestions on what I can do about my potatoes or anything else that I'm growing, I'm all ears. I've been gardening for about 5 years, but I still don't know most things about these, most things about growing vegetables. I do watch my gardener a lot. I get my seeds from him, but you can always learn new things. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you on my next video. Thank you.